What's up, guys? It's your boy Darkskin, and today we're going to be going over our Frigg guide, talking about her best team, and talking about how you kind of want to play her in conjunction with the other units that you will be using. We'll be talking about relics and everything that you guys need to know so you guys can make your Frigg really insane. Starting out, I do want to talk about her team comp. The best team comp for her currently is going to be herself, Meryl, and Tsubasa. Now, the reason why is because, number one, Tsubasa is an ice unit, and Tsubasa is a DPS, which is going to be not only giving her, ice resonance, but will also be giving her the DPS passive right here. Meryl is an ice unit as well, so she's also going to be getting the ice resonance. On top of, there's not any shatter on this team, right? Tsubasa's shatter is going to be a 4, her shatter is going to be an 8, so she can shatter decently well, especially with her Fimbulwinter. But Meryl's shatter is, I want to say, a 12, but with her C1 it goes up to a 13.8. So Meryl is going to be doing really insane amount of shatter for this team. Now, if you guys don't have Meryl or Tsubasa, you can run other characters, or if you just want to run other characters, because you can as well. Now, if you guys are trying to run this team in PvP, a very good alternative would be putting in Coco or Nemesis instead of Tsubasa. The reason being, inside PvP, these DPS or tank resonance don't exist. So now that we've talked about her team, I want to talk a little bit about rotations. Now, if you guys don't know, everything has a timer, so you want to make sure you guys are playing on rotation. I do not have Tsubasa's C1, but for the sake of the video, and I know a lot of people playing around this, I will show you guys her rotations without Tsubasa and with Tsubasa, so you guys can understand exactly how she should work. Now that we've talked about her team, let's go ahead and talk about her matrices. If you guys don't know, she comes along with her own matrix set, but obviously it's not the best case scenario to summon for them, because you can always just use some of the free-to-play, or not free-to-play, but some of the matrix that are in the game currently. Starting out, I do want to talk about her 2-piece and 4-piece set. Her 2-piece set increases frost attack by a certain amount of percent for 10 seconds when switching between frost weapons. This set's effect works with others, but only the set with the highest star ratings effect will take effect. That just means if you have multiple sets on different characters, it'll only be the highest one or whatever. But the point is, whenever you switch into her, she will be getting frost attack increase. This is a really decent 2-piece for her. And if you guys, if you guys are a whale or whatever, and you did get her 4-piece, you can use her 4-piece as well. That's just going to make them receive more frost damage inside her Fimbulwinter frost domain. Now, you don't have to use these two. I only use these two because I got lucky on the Matrix banner, and I ended up pulling one of these in my first multi, so I ended up getting the other one from the shop. But you guys don't have to run this. I do want to talk about a couple of different things. Starting out, the 3-piece Sobek is a really good one for her. It's pretty standard for any DPS early game. And the reason why is it increases your damage by 6% for each enemy nearby, and it can stack up to 3 times. So you can get an 18% buff with this set, or if it's maxed out, you can get a 27% buff with this set. So early game, this is going to be a really nice set for anybody that's looking to use a DPS. Now, another thing I want to talk about is a lot of people aren't really talking about this, but you can actually use 2-piece Huma on Frigg if you wanted to as well. Hitting targets with dodge skills inflict bleed, dealing damage equal to 15% of attack every second for 5 seconds. This is actually going to be a pretty decent set for her if you guys have this already. Now, I already know what a lot of people are going to be talking about. A lot of people are going to be saying, well, DS, I want to know the best in slot for, for Frigg if I'm going to be building Frigg, blah blah. And if you guys do want to know the best in slot, the best in slot is actually going to be 2-piece Samir, 2-piece Crow, right? This is going to be pretty standard for any DPS, like as far as, free-to-play matrix go. Increase damage progressively by 1% upon hitting a target, stacks up to 10, 13, etc. times, lasts 1.5 seconds. Now, basically, as long as you're hitting somebody, there's no cooldown, and it literally can just keep going, and you can get up to 10 stacks. So that's going to be 10% once you get max stacks, and if you keep hitting them, it's just going to keep doing it. And then that's Samir's. And then Crow's increase crit damage to targets with less than 60% HP by 24% at 0 stars. Now, this is also going to be really good. She's your DPS, so she is going to be critting, and if they're below 60%, you're going to be doing a lot more damage. So if you guys wanted to know, you know, some sets that you could go, there you go. Now that we've talked about the Matrix, I do want to talk about the Simulacrum traits, and the reason why is because there's two in particular that I think are really, really good for her. The first one being Samir. If you guys don't know, Samir's Simulacrum trait grants 1 stack of concentration for every 4 seconds when Samir receives no damage. Each stack increases damage dealt by 4%, can stack 5 times. So this is a 20% damage increase that you can get at the start of a fight. So you don't have to stack it or anything like that. Literally, if you're out of combat, you're not taking damage. If you're not taking damage, you will have this stack. You'll have this stacked up. So anytime you go into something, you'll already be stacked up, ready to go. Now, I don't really like this because I feel like people are bound to take damage, especially whenever I'm using Meryl. I'm trying to shatter. It's just gonna happen. Another one you can use is hers. Looking at hers, Icebound. Frost attack is boosted by 2.4% every 3 seconds upon entering a combat. Stack up to 10 times, lasts for 5 seconds. In addition, gain Hyper Body and become immune to control effects in the Frost domain. So what this means is you get a 24% Frost attack boost, which is going to be really good if you're running all Frost units, which I am. But on top of that, and it stays forever in combat. It lasts for 5 seconds after you leave combat. And then in addition to this, you gain Hyper Body and become immune to crowd control effects in the Frost domain. So anytime you use her one and you're inside that domain, you get Hyper Body, right? And so it's like, it's just a really, really, really good buff to the Frost team as a whole. And it's a really, really good buff to, you know, standing inside the Frost domain. So I'm going with this one. As you guys can probably see, I already have her at almost 3,000. So if you guys want to go with hers, you can. If you guys want to just go with Samir's, you can. I know a couple of people like Tsubasa's. I don't really like Tsubasa's because I have to use, like, they want me to use her Fierce Strike, which is not bad, but 30 stacks is a lot of stacks, right? So I don't really like using hers because it makes you want to put Tsubasa on the field a lot longer than you would want her on the field, in my opinion. But anyways, there you guys go for Simulacrum traits. You guys can choose whichever one you want, but those are some really, really good ones. Now that we've talked about all of that, let's go ahead and get into the relics. 2 of the best relics for you to use is going to be Qant, or I don't know how you say it, and then Hologram Projector. The reason why is this, at 2 stars, after the shield breaks, increases final damage by 20% for 10 seconds. Now keep in mind, this is on a 30-second cooldown, so you'll get this buff every 30 seconds. And the shield lasts for 5 seconds or whenever you're hit. So it's a buff that you'll pop the shield and you'll get the buff either right after getting hit or 5 seconds after the shield was popped. And it's nice that it's a shield because it can tank 1 hit of damage. And as you guys know, a lot of bosses can 1-tap you or do a lot of damage with that 1 hit. So really, really, really good for her. You can pop it right before a boss is about to hit you. Super low cooldown, so it's really, really nice. The next one is going to be Hologram Projector, and the reason why is because it literally duplicates your character. And then you can go into the multi-slashes over and over and over. If you're using Meryl, you can shatter, you know, a lot better. Now keep in mind, this is not 1-to-1 damage. It's 35%, and then once you max it out, it'll be 50%. But 50% of your damage is still a lot of damage on top of, you know, just everything else. Now, it is on a 180-second cooldown, but once you get to 2 stars, it goes down to 120 seconds. So you generally want to pop this whenever you're at a boss or something with, you know, Qant or whatever it's called, and you can get the job done. Now, I only went over 2 of them because generally speaking, you're only going to have a slot for 2. But if you guys want to go with a full damage like build, you can run like all 5 or 6 of the relics that do give damage. I know that there are some other ones that give damage, like the shield and etc, etc. So if you guys want to run like all 6 of those, you can, but I just gave you 2 of the best ones for her simply because you know, a lot of people are generally not going to be running 6 damage artifacts unless they're trying to nuke a boss, and at that point, you know, you'd have all of them anyway. So anyways, that is the relics. Now that we've got through all of that, I want to get into the gameplay. Alright, so now that we're in Bygone Phantasm, I want to show you guys exactly how the team will be rotating and everything like that. So, as far as if you're not using Tsubasa, like let's say you have Coco on your team instead, or maybe you don't have Tsubasa's C1, you guys can just do the rotation of Frigg, Meryl, back and forth. And what I mean by that is, what you'll want to do is, you'll go into a fight, you'll switch to Meryl, you'll go into your shatter, right? And then, as soon as you're done shattering, whether you have discharge or not, you'll switch into Frigg, and you'll go into your slices, right? Now, keep in mind, once her domain gets down to 5 seconds, it'll disappear. Or the cooldown, once it gets to 5 seconds, it'll disappear. At that time, you want to switch to Meryl and use her discharge. You're going to have it up, trust me. You'll switch to Meryl, use her discharge. Once you use her discharge, you can go into a couple of swings or whatever you want to do. Then you'll switch right back to her and you'll go back into it, rinse, repeat. She generates a lot of charge, so you will generally have, you will always have Meryl's discharge. And if you do 1 or 2 swings with Meryl, you should have Frigg's discharge as well. So this is if you're playing without Tsubasa, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys right now exactly, you know, what you want to be doing and everything like that. So like I said, and the main thing you want to do is group them up. So let them all walk over here. It's going to take them some time, but it'll be fine. So now that they're all over here, go into that. You want to go into this and try to get as much shatter off as possible. And once you get a couple shatters off, then you'll go into her. And like I said, you will get the discharge. And you can just keep doing this. And you want to get as much energy as possible because Meryl does not generate that much energy. So like you see now you want to go into this. You'll go back, and then you'll do it again. And now you have her discharge again. You can go into breaking shields. Once you break the shields, go back into Frigg. And as you see right here, I have 2 discharge saved up. So now, once we get there, and the domain leaves, you can go into this, go into this a little bit, and now you have another discharge. So once we break these shields, you'll go into this discharge, and then you go right back into this. And then you can go into this again. Go into your spin if you need to. Rinse, repeat. So you just go back and forth over and over and over. And that's how you're going to play Frigg Meryl. Now, let's say you guys want to play Frigg, Meryl, and Tsubasa because you have her attack buffs. The rotations of your team are going to be a little bit different. You're going to be wanting to put Tsubasa in the middle of everything. And what I mean by that is, whenever you get into a fight, you want to start with Tsubasa. The reason why is you'll go into her 1, and then you'll go into her charge attacks to get your stacks up. Once you have your stacks up to 3, you'll go into Meryl, so you can shatter. And you got to just keep in mind that, you know, you have 15 seconds. So after you get done shattering, you'll switch back to Tsubasa, dash 1 time to get your stack up, then you'll go into Frigg. Now once you're into Frigg, you're going to be doing her dashes. And you just want to make sure that in between the middle of this, you go into Frigg, or you go into Tsubasa, and then you dash 1 time to get the charge up. And then you can go back into Frigg. And then another time, right now, you'll go into her, do that, and then you'll go into Meryl so you guys can start shattering again. Right? So every time you switch off of a character, you generally want to go to Tsubasa and shoot one time so you can keep her attack buff up. Keep in mind her attack buff lasts for 15 seconds. So if you want the attack buff up at all times, this is what you're going to have to do. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, DS, you know, aren't I losing time because I'm switching to Tsubasa? And it's like, yes, you're losing a little bit of time, but the amount of damage you're going to be dishing out because you have that attack buff up is going to more and compensate for the time that you're missing. So now we're going to go ahead and get into it so you guys can see exactly how you want to play this team. So, like I said, you generally want to start like this. And then you want to go straight into your shatters. You want to go into this again, get one off, and then you want to go straight into her. Now keep in mind, we still have about 12 seconds left. So you just want to make sure you're staying on your timers. Now I'm doing this without having a timer. Go back into her, get you one dash off, then you can go back into Frigg. Get you one dash off. And then you can go into Meryl so you can get your shatters. Go back into her, get a dash off, then go into her. And so, like I said, you're basically just going to be alternating her into your team comp, so you guys always have it up. Go back into her, get your dash off, then you want to go back into her. Then you want to go into her, get you a dash off, go into Meryl for the shatter, and then you guys are done. So, like I said, without Tsubasa, you can just alternate between Frigg, Meryl, whenever you need to shatter, whenever you don't need to shatter. If you are using Tsubasa, you'll have to start with Tsubasa, go into Meryl shatter, then you will use Frigg's Ice Domain, and then you gotta alternate between Tsubasa, Frigg, Tsubasa, Meryl, Tsubasa, Frigg, Tsubasa, Meryl, back and forth like that. Now, I know this was a pretty lengthy guide, but I did want to give you guys all the information you could use. So I hope I helped you guys out a lot. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, comment down below, tell me what you guys did in the comment section below. With that being said, I will see you guys next time. Peace.